Yes. Welcome, everyone. Cannabis News with Joe Klare is September 26th, 2018. Presented, as always, by the Marijuana Times. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Click that video tab to find the show. There's also a bunch of great articles on there. And more. marijuanatimes.org. Today, we're talking about Seattle judges vacating marijuana convictions also. The study on marijuana legalization in New Hampshire is coming to an end, and they'll be making recommendations soon. And a judge intervened when it comes to 2 decriminalization measures in Ohio. All of that coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by NatureSide, nature-side.com. Side is spelled C-I-D-E. Check out their organic, all-natural pesticides, natureside.com. Grow safe and poison-free. Don't use harmful chemicals on what you are growing. And if you're a cannabis cultivator in a state where it is legal, there's likely a lot of pesticide regulations and restrictions that you have to follow. You can do all of these things with NatureSide, nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. Go check them out. This first story from marijuanatimes.org from Julia Granowitz. Seattle judges agreed to vacate convictions for cannabis possession. Some of you may remember, we talked about this, I believe, many months ago, when Seattle City Attorney Pete Holmes filed a motion asking the 7 judges in the city, to vacate marijuana convictions between 1996 and 2010. Well, now that has happened. Judges have agreed to vacate 15 years' worth of cannabis possession convictions. Quote, inasmuch as the conduct for which the defendant was convicted is no longer criminal, of course, recreational legalization is the law of the land in Washington state. Setting aside the conviction and dismissing the case serves the interest of justice, read the judge's orders. The state legalized cannabis in 2012. Holmes himself made the decision to no longer prosecute minor cannabis offenses. The judge's order was passed earlier this week, vacating a total of 542 convictions. Anyone who was affected by the order will be notified through the mail and will have 33 days to object, to having the charges vacated. Now, 542 people doesn't seem like a lot, but it's progress, and that's really what all of this is. Nothing's going to be, hey, it was bad here, and then tomorrow it's great. None of that's going to happen when it comes to marijuana law reform and cannabis law reform. It's going to be a long, drawn-out process, and as long as all of these things are moving and we're pushing as hard as we can in the right direction, then that's a good thing. And vacating marijuana convictions, especially in states where the crime that these people were convicted for is no longer illegal, is definitely progress in the right direction. Check that story out on marijuanatimes.org. This next story from NHPR.com in New Hampshire. Study of marijuana legalization in New Hampshire nears completion. That's right, they did a whole study about whether or not they should legalize recreational marijuana in New Hampshire. They just didn't put it on the ballot and say, hey, vote on this, or put it in front of the lawmakers and say, hey, vote on this. No. A study. The commission studying marijuana legalization in New Hampshire will be making up to 50 recommendations in its report due on November 1st. Just don't expect an up and down vote to recommend a recreational pot or oppose it. State Representative Patrick Abramy, chairman of the commission, says the report will outline the potential pitfalls and the best way for legislators to go about it should New Hampshire follow neighboring states and legalize it for adults. Some commission members continue to raise concerns about public health and safety after nearly a year of studying cannabis. A year to study what all these other states are already doing and are already in the midst of. A year. Abramy allows his views have somewhat evolved. He has voted against marijuana bills in the past. He said, quote, I can see some of the benefits of legalization now. Whether or not I would vote on the floor for it is another discussion. He said it after the commission met. He says one benefit would be that people would know what they're getting in terms of a regulated product and not some black market pot possibly laced with fentanyl or something else. So, they've studied this issue intently for a year. They're studying something that doesn't involve anyone infringing on the rights of anyone else. It should be a no-brainer. This should be legal because no one's rights are being infringed at all. But here we are. Here we are in New Hampshire, at least, studying it for a year because it's such a difficult decision, and lawmakers really can't be trusted with it until they really, really dig into the issue. This last story out of Ohio from the recordcourier.com. According to a judge, marijuana initiatives in Ohio in 2 cities or towns, however you want to put it, must appear on the ballot. A federal judge has ordered 2 initiative petitions seeking to decriminalize marijuana possession in Garrettsville and Windham be placed on the November ballot a month after they were denied consideration by local election officials. Chief U.S. District Judge Edmund Sargas handed down his decision in a case versus Schmidt et al. Versus Husted and orders the Portage County Board of Elections and Ohio Secretary of State John Husted to place the initiative petitions on the ballot for consideration by voters in Garrettsville and Windham, Ohio. Teresa Nielsen, Deputy Director of the Portage County Board of Elections, said the petitions are on the ballot for residents of the villages as issues 37 and 38. Sorry, they're not towns, they're villages. Petitioners William Schmidt and Chad Johnson drafted the petitions and obtained enough signatures from Garrettsville and Windham residents. They're seeking to eliminate fines, costs, and license suspensions for those convicted of misdemeanor marijuana possession under village ordinances. And that the Portage County Board of Elections refused to certify the petitions on August 21st. Schmidt and Thompson then sued for a temporary restraining order to prohibit the board from keeping the initiatives off the ballot, claiming a violation of their First and 14th Amendment rights. Saugus ruled, quote, Ohio's regulatory scheme unreasonably infringes on the plaintiff's First Amendment rights by allowing an executive board to determine disputed legal and even constitutional issues, thereby potentially blocking initiatives from the ballot, and then denying rejected petitioners a right to review. So a lot of these little decriminalization measures are popping up around Ohio. One's going to be voted on in Norwood on November 6th. We talked about that here on the show. Again, more progress. And it seems long sometimes, and it seems maybe like progress is stalled, and it seems in some places that it's going backwards. But overall, you got to keep chipping away, and you got to keep pushing forward. And step by step, you take back what was taken so easily, which is the right to use cannabis freely and without fear of arrest or fear of breaking the law because you're not infringing on the rights of anyone else. That was taken easily, must be retrieved, gotten back through fighting. You know what I'm getting at. Step by step, inch by inch, we continue to fight. That's what we do on this show. That's why I'm here 5 days a week doing this. That's why you share, comment, like the videos, tell people about them at home and on social media, everywhere. Check us out, The Marijuana Times on YouTube and Vimeo. Search us there. If you want the audio-only version of the show, of course, search Apple Podcasts. Thank you to Natureside, nature-side.com for being a proud sponsor of the show. Of course, check out marijuanatimes.org. Click that video tab to find the show. And keep sharing these episodes. Help us spread the truth about cannabis. Thanks, everybody, for listening and watching. We'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.